Donald Trump's corollary to Monroe doctrine wants a hemisphere that remains free of hostile foreign incursion or ownership of key assets, and that supports critical supply chains, and we want to ensure our continued access to key strategic locations. This is absolutely unacceptable, and Latin American countries and Caribbean should not accept to comply with such looting. Latin American and Caribbean countries are sovereign owners of their natural resources, and we may either exploit them or leave them idle. China has shown to the United States that it may either export or not export its rare earth to the United States. China is an ally of Venezuela and other countries in South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. According to the United States, China, Russia, and Iran are hostile powers. Therefore, Venezuela is also a hostile power. Western Hemisphere is Venezuela's hemisphere. It's not only United States hemisphere. We must share our hemisphere, and boundaries should be determined by Caribbean Sea, which is not even contiguous to the United States, considering that Puerto Rico should be a sovereign country rather than a United States colony. It is absolutely infuriating to continue dwelling on horrendous Trump corollary to Monroe doctrine. Venezuela deplores such corollary and will not abide to it, and will make it very clear to Donald Trump once he meets with President Maduro that our sovereign countries are not supposed to be just a critical supply chain mine for the United States. We may produce and sell our resources at terms mutually agreed upon, but not through this kind of oppressive coercion. United States pretending to ensure continued access to South American, Central American, and Caribbean resources means invasion, intervention, interference, and war. Because many countries will not graciously cede ownership of those resources. Presidents of Panama, Argentina, Paraguay, Ecuador, and the Dominican Republic are deplorable, offering their countries for United States war against Venezuela through their support of infamous ceremony of Nobel War Prize in Oslo. It is shameful that several Latin American and Caribbean countries are just claudicating into Trump's corollary of Monroe doctrine. Sovereignty of Panama is gone. Sovereignty of Argentina is gone. Sovereignty of Paraguay is gone. Sovereignty of Dominican Republic is gone, and sovereignty of Ecuador is also gone. Remaining Latin American and Caribbean countries must make efforts to ensure that we will still remain owners of our resources and territories. We are being left with no choice but to fortify our military dissuasion and defense, because the United States is extremely aggressive, hostile, and it pretends to take possession of an entire hemisphere that does not belong to it. This is piracy. United Nations must immediately condemn these atrocious pretensions. Fortunately, Venezuela holds several allies. Angie Motshekga, Minister of Defense of South Africa, and Buti Manamela, Minister of Higher Education of South Africa, support Venezuela and would not like the United States to initiate a war against their ally of South Africa, which is Venezuela. Turkey remains an ally of Venezuela, even though Turkey belongs to NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. United States doesn't care about NATO anyway. So President Erdogan has spoken to President Maduro, and they are determined in keeping alive the $3 billion commerce between both countries. Turkish Airlines flights between Caracas and Istanbul should be rescheduled, meaning that Turkish authorities will engage in conversations and requirements to the Federal Aviation Administration of the United States to resolve the impasse of an illegal closure of Venezuelan airspace that is not effective as Venezuelans continue using our airspace. So Turkish Airlines is receiving guidance from the President of Turkey to restart operations into Venezuela because our country is not a threat to civil aviation. Spain is another NATO country that is trying to restore air connectivity with Venezuela, while Spanish airlines are not arriving into Maiquetía Airport directly. Code-sharing arrangements are being made with Venezuelan airlines, Láser and Estelar. Therefore, traveling from Maiquetía to Madrid is possible through connecting flights at Cartagena, Colombia, and Barbados. It would be desirable that tourism into Cartagena and Barbados improves as Venezuelans and Spaniards get acquainted with new authorized connecting airports. Direct flights continue in and out of Maiquetía Airport through several Venezuelan airlines, while Copa Airlines from Panama advised that service into Venezuela would be suspended for 2 days because of interference. Such interference has also been noticed in flights from Colombia, suggesting electronic warfare from the United States, which is determined to harass Venezuela. Going back to infamous Trump corollary of Monroe doctrine, which is making the United States act in hostility to Venezuela, and therefore Venezuela has the international right to ally with friendly countries such as China, Russia, and Iran, which trade with us in favorable terms, and we want nothing to do with hostile United States that only wants war and death. Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, and Donald Trump are war criminals. They are responsible for the death of 84 persons in the Caribbean. They have provided no proof and they expect us to be their allies. And same goes with Venezuelan extremist opposition, who are so desperate in looting power that they applaud killing of fishermen without due process. In that regard, United States senators are fed up. Senator Tim Kaine, Senator Chuck Schumer, Senator Adam Schiff, and Senator Rand Paul. They are asking to pass a resolution according to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of the United States Constitution, in order to terminate military incursions in or around Venezuela. Presidentially designated narco-terrorist cartels is offensive for Venezuelans because we are not terrorists. Everything this United States administration is doing is absolutely contrary to international law, and Venezuela will not abide to Monroe doctrine. United States has to immediately terminate their occupation of Caribbean. United States no longer has any right to claim Western Hemisphere. United States must be confined to its own borders. Alliance of Iran, China, Russia, and Venezuela is absolutely valuable, and it will probably be the beacon of the rest of the 21st century, and the United States will have to suck it up and deal. Pete Hegseth continues contradicting himself. On one hand, he supports Trump's corollary to the Monroe doctrine, and on the other hand, he pretends there will be no interventions and no restoration of democracy. However, he has used Venezuelan extremist opposition ridiculous claims of electoral outcomes that were not favorable to their interests. Adolf Hitler was elected by popular vote in Germany, and he got to Nazism. Venezuelans will not accept Nazism or fascism to rule Venezuela, as Germans did in the 1930s. Democracy fails when people are so brainwashed that they are coerced to vote for the least responsible option. And something similar is being seen in Honduras, where it is likely that elections will be repeated because results are unacceptable. United States foreign interference in Honduras elections this week was grotesque. So Pete Hegseth may not be telling us that United States is not seeking interventions. Of course United States is seeking interventions, because that would be the only way Venezuela would initially surrender some of its natural resources, and that would not be too long, because we would start an immediate resistance movement, because our natural resources, our rare earth, and our supply chains will be contracted to anyone we wish. And right now, we do not wish to make business with the United States in these terms. We have already heard Pete Hegseth threatening United States allies that they have to pay a lot of money and that they have to comply with anything United States orders them to do, otherwise they will face terrible consequences. Japan, Korea, Mexico, India, Australia, when are you going to open your eyes? European countries have already decided a path to diversity, which is not to the liking of Donald Trump. Europe has as much rights as Latin America and the Caribbean to exert self-determination. Europe is sovereign in their immigration policies. Another one who is complaining about the European Union is Elon Musk. He failed in United States politics and now he wants to meddle in European Union politics. Of course, he wants to divide Europe so that small countries, one by one, are smashed by United States and Elon Musk companies. Fascism and Nazism are a huge threat and must be combated forcefully. Pretensions of Elon Musk and Donald Trump for monopolizing resources of the planet is unacceptable, and they are leading us to war again. It is necessary that Russia, China, Iran, and Venezuela meet soon to discuss these horrible recent developments of United States 2025 November national security objectives, signed by Donald Trump with noticeable input from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who are quickly becoming a threat to humanity. United States population, of course, disagrees with this horrific world domination scenario that United States wishes to impose. And huge celebrations, no war, yes peace Venezuela, were attended in cities such as New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, San Francisco, Boston, and Austin. Venezuelans within the country are absolutely thankful to United States citizens who share with us the necessity of keeping our borders separate while developing international friendship. Special thanks must also be given to the Foreign Minister of Iran, who has extensively spoke about Iran's alliance with Venezuela. Iran appreciates Venezuela's leadership in the group of non-aligned nations, which includes 121 sovereign countries in the world. Iran also appreciates Venezuela's founding status of the Friends of the Charter of United Nations, which regularly meets in New York City. Iran strongly supports Venezuela's right to self-determination and self-defense. Iran continues strengthening all military, economic, and strategic partnerships with Venezuela, as we are valuable speakers and members of the Global South, and our foreign policy is opposite to what United States is proposing, and we object United States pretension of offering free trade when all United States does is to impose tariffs and sanctions. United States is hypocritical when referring to free markets, as all it does is to block free commerce between sovereign nations. Meanwhile, PDVSA continues growing. After a fire that occurred at Petrocedeño, activities have been recovering, and Pequiven, which is the petrochemical complex, is expected to receive 40% of oil production in future years, while today it is already receiving 12%. Venezuela must develop its petrochemical industry for the benefit of agricultural and industrial sectors. Venezuela's extraction of oil may not be only provided to refineries in the United States, which was the business model we had during the Fourth Republic through the use of Citgo Corporation, which anyway has been taken away from Venezuela through questionable lawsuits managed by traitors to the homeland who tried to use Venezuelan presidency and an expired National Assembly as a puppet government of Venezuela supported by the United States. Fortunately, they never had any control in Venezuelan territory, and perhaps independence of Venezuela will have the cost of having lost Citgo and probably having lost the gold that is still deposited in the Bank of England, as England refuses to give us our gold back. United Kingdom and United States are countries unsuitable for foreign investment, as they can nationalize your assets at a moment's notice, as they are already trying to do with Russian assets in Europe. If Venezuela definitely loses Citgo, Venezuela will, during the next few years, develop a comparable structure of refineries within Venezuelan territory that will process light, medium, and heavy crude, so that we get to the presidentially stated goal of 4 million barrels per day within a decade, and perhaps 10 million barrels a day within 2 decades. All of that oil must be refined, processed, and some of it, of course, may be sold to our customers' supply chains. But that has to be a sovereign Venezuelan decision. Venezuela should not just extract oil at the mercy of United States supply chains. United States will have to buy oil for its supply chains at whatever quantities we wish to sell. Venezuela thanks China for being very assertive on how to deal with these negotiations. United States is not happy that China is developing inroads in Latin America and the Caribbean, but China has spent many years proposing good terms of trade, while United States only has provided sanctions. It is too late for the United States to regain lost glory. United States must get used to its decline, just as the Spanish, Portuguese, and British empires, and even Roman Empire, had to endure as their populations became accustomed to luxury without production. Rare earth mining remains a hot topic in international trade. Venezuela holds reserves of coltan. Many of them are being illegally mined in Amazonas state, and it is urgent that we settle some sort of dialogue and understanding with the United States, clearly limiting scope of their pretensions under the Trump corollary of Monroe doctrine, because Venezuela needs to assess the amount and environmental impact of our rare earth reserves, so that we can propose a plan for exports not only to the United States, but also to other countries needing such reserves. United States will need to learn how to work with the international community, with the United Nations, and the movement of non-aligned countries should be more vocal in strongly opposing United States unilateral arrangements that are not to the liking of most of the planet.